A stunning trove of new data from the Pew Research Group highlights just how big of a problem we have, one that soon could reach a total point of no return. The first is the rate of single young men versus single young women. 63% of young men today between the ages of 18 to 29 report being single.
That's a crazy amount. That's over half of young men within that age range being single. What's going on with men in the West?
That is compared to 34% of young women.
34% of young women are single in the West, less than 50%. So again, it's a woman's dating market. It's a woman's dating market. How can you be a woman and be single and struggle dating in the West? This is the best time to date as a woman. Let's carry on here.
Yes, in a vacuum, you could say, who cares? And let people do what they want. And I actually agree with that. The problem, though, is that what people want is downstream of a lot of societal inputs that we do have a say over. For example, the reason that math doesn't work out is very simple. Most of those younger women who aren't single are dating older men. Why? Well, they report stability of older men who are able to provide for them financially.
You see that, Theo? Theo, you want to break it down? Come on, bro.
Men have money. So successful older men like myself always have money. There's always something they can provide. So all they have to do is get their body marginally correct and have their money right, there'll be women who want to date that.
Facts, absolute facts. So we're seeing over 50% of men single in that age range. Now, is this a point where they have to wait their turn? So when they reach their 30s, when they're more established, more money, they can now start dating efficiently because they're not as established as an older guy? Or is there more issues at hand? Let's carry on watching here to see if we can answer that question.
It's not necessarily that women want to date older men. It's that economically younger.
No, they do. They definitely do.
Men simply aren't able to attain the baseline necessary for women to want to partner with them. This isn't exactly popular to say, but it is now unambiguously true. The wage gap that Lehman feminists insisted was the biggest problem in our society in the 2010s, that's basically dead. For those between the ages of 34 and below, the wage gap stands at some $43 per week.
So I think he's saying here, right, that, so wage gap has closed now. I agree. There is no wage gap. It's a bunch of BS coming from delusional feminists, okay? Yep. So basically, women are now earning more than men in their same age group, 18 to 29, okay? Mm. And they don't want to date men that make less than them, which is absurd, right? So they're going to go for older guys that make more than them, right? How do you feel about that particular scenario there with women doing that kind of effery?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And women are always looking for a man who makes more money. And again, what the current situation we have, again, with the DEI hires that you have in America, basically jobs that should have gone to competent men are going to women who are, I would say, not necessarily competent or fit for the job. So you get lower productivity, but also you get the women going around saying that men ain't ish afterwards. This isn't good. It's not a good situation. So then those women say they want a guy who is economically viable. Well, who are they going to go for? They're not going to go for a man their own age. They're going to go for a man who's 15, 20 years older because those guys are set, right? Mm. And women have been doing this for how long, right? The women only say that men should date women their own age when those women have no options with older men. Once they have an option with an older man, they don't care. They're like, I can do what I want. Nobody can tell me what to do.
Facts. Damn.
Have now reached effective wage parity. Actually, in many U.S. cities, young women actually out-earn young men. In the most upwardly mobile cities, places like Los Angeles, New York.
So women are now earning men. Would there be anything done to make sure we can actually have equality there, or is the end goal to oppress men and make demean men and ensure that women dominate men in every area of life. I thought we wanted equality here. So why is it not equal 50-50? You see what I'm saying here about the BS? God.
So this is BS because of the way that they're actually doing the calculations. So, okay, they're not talking about like 24-year-old female Python programmers making more than 24-year-old male Python programmers. What they're talking about is you've got this pool, right, of women, and the average mean of the wages being more than the men. So you got like, okay, you have a lot of women, particularly like in this area that they're talking about, this geographical area, who are working in the flesh industry. It's called the flesh industry, okay? So, of course, those women are out earning men who are their own age. Without a doubt, there's no way that men can compete with that at their own age. So that's how they're getting these kinds of numbers. But what they're not saying is a woman Python engineer who's 24 makes more money than a man the same age from the ages of 24 to 34. They're not saying that. Well, this is why I call cap on this, because all they have to do is just remove the flesh industry and boom, everything goes to parity immediately.
Let's carry on here.
City. Young women earn 102% of young men earn. And even in these places where they don't earn more, they earn roughly the same as much as their young male counterparts in the workforce. Why might this be? Well, it's a trend pointing towards women out-earning men as time passes. It all goes back to college. Women now outnumber men in the U.S. college-educated workforce. Again, why is this?
And that's also an agenda set in stone. Right, obviously I've been university myself, very female centric. It means men teach about feminist classes. They teach women to hate men in these classes and college campuses. I've been through and I've experienced it, And in high school, right, there was a huge emphasis on women to go to university, and no one was caring about men in high school. It's being done on purpose here. So a lot of these women, right, they didn't get here through hard work or intellect. It's a lot of these BS programs that demean men, oppress men, so they can put women over men. Let's keep it real there.
Well, yeah, it's these DEI programs. So again, this is something I am still very frustrated about. I think like you and me have talked about this at least privately. So what happens is they have the DEI hire to try to get the woman in the workplace, and then for the man, they're hiring the Indian programmer, for example. And this doesn't make sense. This is very illogical. But that's what they're doing. You see this largely happening in the offices, especially with IT. So how many Indians? You just got a huge amount of Indians, just a huge number. I'd say the guys got, of course, it's an upward battle for the guys to keep on going on this, but ultimately, where are you getting families? These women who are in these programs, they're not getting married, they're not finding partners, right? What is really happening with them? So then they're saying, okay, well, the women don't want to get married anyway. They don't need a man. They can go on by themselves. Okay, let's see what happens. And then you get more women in their 40s going on TikTok crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Facts.
So again, one of the things you say here says more women now outnumber men in the U.S. college-educated workforce. Are they out-earning them? No. If that's all you have to do is remove the flesh industry from these numbers, and instantly that everything goes to parity. Well, that's what they're actually using. So I think it's a joke. I just laugh at this and say, no, men are in a much better situation.
Let's go.
Bad. Well, because higher wage jobs in our society are structured around having a bachelor's degree. A gender imbalance in graduates means a gender imbalance in wages, and in a decade, we are actually going to have the opposite wage gap in the United States. Wages, as we can see now, are directly tied to the dating market, where we have two pernicious things at play. Number one, wages aside, many college-educated women simply do not want to date someone who doesn't have a college degree. This sounds pretentious and snooty, but you can somewhat sympathize.
You see, and that's the problem with women, right? Always having high standards. Let me tell you, right, the average guy would date a woman without a college degree, without a single doubt. If she's feminine, has wife qualities, 3 or 4, she has a college degree, the average guy will date her. But for a woman, right, because she has a master's, a PhD, her flipping undergrad degree, she wants a guy on that similar level. The way women think, right, is the reason why they're not going to make it in the long-term game. They're not.
Right. Yeah. So Kevin Samuels called this the tall woman problem. So if you have a woman who is, let's say that she's 5'9", 5'10", the likelihood of her finding a man is very low because she always has her standards. She's not going to change her standards. So basically, if you have, let's say you have a college-educated woman, she has a degree and she works 10 years and she gets to $100,000 a year. The likelihood of her getting married, especially if she's single at the end of those 10 years, the likelihood of her getting married is abysmally low. Just the way it is. Because she's priced herself out of the market. And her standards is that the guy has to do this, that, blah, blah, blah for her, instead of using her salary to build with her husband inside of the family. So it's her decision. And then you get guys like us who say, you're not going to build with us, fine. Okay, we'll use our passport and go to another country and get somebody who makes less than $12,000 a year and build a family with her. Done. What can she do? Nothing. So she's 32, 33 years old. The guys are successful. They're dating women in their 20s. Because women's salary is useless to a man, right? Mostly speaking. So what is she going to do? She's stuck. Well, this is what Kevin Samuels called the tall woman problem.
Facts. And for dudes saying that, college is filled with debt, blah, blah, blah. And I get that, right? But you need to understand, right, there are certain industries where you're going to go to college for. For example, medicine, law, surgery, particularly law, which is very important here because these people who do law end up becoming lawyers and then judges. As you know, they have a lot of sway in legal, how things are run when it comes to laws, making laws. And I've seen a lot of female lawyers and a lot of female law students, okay? And obviously, if they become judges and, law policy makers, they're going to have a female-centric way of view. They're going to impose a feminist garbage in these laws. We don't want that, okay? So we need men, we need some men to be going into the legal field, becoming judges and having a red pill RP mindset in the way they do their laws so men can benefit or men don't get screwed over by, what's currently happening here in the system, right? You see a lot of female judges, right, that are literally screwing over men in court and giving flipping child support, $20,000 a month for a kid and paying spousal support of, $50,000 a month and one-off payments to the wife. Bruv, that is feminist acts right there, bruv. So we can't allow women to just dominate these upper positions or else men will get screwed over. Let's keep it real.
Well, I mean, there's no way that this is going to be changing anytime in our lifetimes. It's impossible. So I would say the best option is to, use your passport and leave. But right now, what is it? Males between the age of 18 to 30, something like 60% of them are not engaged in the dating market. So, it's the change is there. Western women are going to reap what they sow in this area, which is going to be a lot of them dying alone. They're not going to have anyone around. and they're going to be looking at the time when Western men were simping as kind of like the golden age and what happened and why did it go away. They're probably going to be asking this for the next 30, 40 years at least.
Facts. Absolute facts.
Yeah.
College is a good proxy for whether you share the same social values, type of media you enjoy, city life, shared experience you can relate to. Number 2, college is also a good proxy for whether you make decent money. So many women simply aren't culturally or economically interested in working class men. As the share of working class men rises compared to the share of college educated women rises, we now have a full-blown cultural crisis in our hands.
And that's the problem right there. Okay. Ignoring working class men who are truck drivers, men who are electricians, men who are plumbers, men who actually are the reason why things function in society, they get disrespected and demeaned by these so-called high-value lawyer females, surgeon females. And that's not right there. Because I guarantee you, right, a male surgeon and a male doctor and a male lawyer would date a female plumber and a female electrician if she had the right qualities. So you see how different men and women think? Okay, and this is why, go on, bro.
Well, I mean, it's just a difference. Remember, we'll date the plumber, but she has to be in her 20s.
Yep.
We're not dating a plumber in her 40s. Sorry, it doesn't work. Whereas the women, they'll date a guy in his 40s as long as he's successful and makes a lot of money. And has, 6-pack abs, 6 feet tall, blah, 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 blah.
Facts. Absolute facts.